cluster of meteors is predicted to enter our atmosphere.
Scientists are scrambling to try and understand it.
Evacuations are now underway.
About 2 or 3 meteors just impacted. Oh my God.
It appears that there's something like shadowy figures.
I think I'm gonna head back now. Everyone needs to get out of here right now. Lucas, if you could just come back, please. Oh my God.
Well, you got deep science fiction, you got nerd science fiction, and you got redneck science fiction.
Wait,
where they just blow shit up, man.
Isn't all science fiction nerd science fiction?
Not this.
Not this. That's true.
No, that's true. There's no real science going on.
No.
There's a lot of shit blowing up real good.
I thought this was like Rodney King science fiction only because every shot, especially when it was like above the ground, all the movement, it just kept reminding me of the Rodney King beating. I don't know why.
You see alien out there, help, please. Aliens in the media the next day. Man, I was just hanging. I wasn't part of this invasion. I was going to get a hamburger.
I kept on looking at the screen going, are we in the right theaters?
yeah, alien talking about, can we just all get along?
Can't we all get
Don't tase me, bro.
Man, but that's what this is. It's not so much an alien invasion movie because there's a long time before you even see an alien in here. I mean, you see a ship. You see some silhouettes on the horizon, but you don't really see an alien. But you get a lot of Marines out there screaming and hollering, yelling at each other, yelling the most cliched lines that you could yell.
Well, clearly, the director and writer saw Black Hawk Down and thought, yeah, but what if instead of Africans, they were aliens?
Right. And then a producer said, oh, it's the same thing.
Oh, those weren't aliens?
The title, I think, is like ultimately self-descriptive. It's Battle of Los Angeles, and that's all this is. It's the Battle of Los Angeles. Yes. The only thing it's missing is Call of Duty before it.
Yeah, right.
It is like it's the video game movie of one of those type of games, and not much more than that.
It's Call of Duty. I mean, they took a big cue from District 9, even with the ship designs. Because I'm like, okay, wow, if Fred Sanford had ever had to have like an invasion on Earth, he pretty much designed these ships. I mean,
do it with junk.
Exactly. It's the Fred Sanford empire of junk because that comes to invade. Yeah.
That's where Sanford and Son took place, was in Watts over in Southern California.
Man, but you're right, because I was going to make a comment how this is not only a war movie, but it is very much a straight up shooter. It's a video game shooter. This is who this movie is targeted towards.
Absolutely.
I mean, because there's even a scene where they're fighting, and in the background, you see not once, but twice a billboard for Resistance 3, a video game that's coming out. A video game that's coming out that's a shooter. A video game that's coming out that's a shooter that's about aliens invading Earth and a resistance against them.
I would go so far as to say it's not just a video game, but it's a video game that's produced by GoArmy.com.
Yeah.
Because, man, by the time you get to the end of this, they are so... I was like, you don't fool me. This is a recruitment film.
Well, for the Marines.
No, it's a recruitment for the Marines. Yeah,
but it's a whole like you try to trick these kids into getting into the military, thinking they're gonna get to shoot some aliens.
No, you want to save the Earth? You want to fight aliens? Come and join the Marines.
Even with all that said, and in the context that this is the type of movie we're talking about, it's not so bad. You know, I mean, sure, when you go into it understanding this is what it is, you go, okay, that's what they wanted to do. Well, they did it, and I was kind of entertained.
Well, the thing is, okay, but this is a movie, actually, this is probably the only movie I've really been looking forward to, even with all the summer movies coming out.
Yeah.
This is the one I really was like, okay, I'm ready for this movie to blow me away.
Yeah, because there are robots in it.
Exactly. But the thing is that I like how this movie immediately gets you in there. I mean, because when it starts, it is the battle. And then they do a little, like, all right, 24 hours before. But even with that, it really doesn't slow down. As soon as the movie starts, I think it's like fever pitch as far as it gets you in and it gets you out. And I was really kind of amazed by that.
You know what? In spite of all the action, you're right. There's tons of action going on. I still found that it got real slow for me in the middle.
It did at points.
I think I just kind of got burnt out after a while of all the shooting and running. And, you know, you get the little profiles of the GIs coming up, and you get to go like, oh, you just got engaged, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You about to leave the Army? Oh, yeah, you're going to die.
Well,
the Marines. It's every, battle cliche that you could think of that's in there. I mean, and like, talk about Black Hawk Down, even to the point where, like, when some guys got killed, later they would show up again. I was like, wait, I thought that guy died in the last
Actually,
scene.
Leon, you know something? First of all, all black people do not look alike. You should know that. Kind of thing right there. But no, the other
No, I'm
thing
talking about some of the white guys.
some of the people that you would name for those cliches, they didn't die though. That's one of the cool things I thought they did because
Spoiler.
But hey man, come on, it was a spoiler either way. You know what I mean?
But even so, when it does decide to stop shooting stuff and just slow down enough for them to talk to each other, you're just hitting the start button trying to get past the cutscene. You're just like, okay, can we please get back to our gameplay already? I'm not in this to
Well, that's
these
true.
bad
I mean, it
CG
gets to-
models talk to each other with really cliched dialogue.
because with a movie like this, I mean, you want everybody to shut up because you're like, okay, look, you don't have time to talk. There's aliens trying to blow your ass away, trying to destroy fucking planet Earth. There's no time for any kind of talking, period. And I like that that's kind of the direction this movie took. Instead of like doing what, let's say, Independence Day did, where it's just scene after scene, but you don't really get any kind of combat. All you get is a really poorly hashed Star Wars fight scene with a bunch of shit in the air that you can't even make any sense of. Where this, it actually, there's a ground battle for once in a goddamn alien movie.
Well, it's very
and I really dug
focused,
that. Yeah.
as opposed to Independence Day, which is all over the place. This is the one group, and you're there with them, following them through it. It's that soldier's eye view of combat. And
It's a search and rescue.
That's what's happening. You're like, wow, this is really intense. There's some fight scenes in here. They're fucking badass.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they obviously took a cue, special effects wise, from District 9. Yeah, District 9, because the aliens look great. Even if you're right, the ships do look like they were. I mean, maybe these are ghetto aliens. They're like totally hacked together pieces of shit. How do you trace that up? Part of a Pinto? What is that?
It's not so much a military invasion. It's a gang of aliens that came.
They came down just to tag everything.
They came from the Compton that's on another planet.
I was waiting to see
from Saturn.
with refrigerators falling, from pieces of the ship.
But you're right, though. There are some great battles in this, but it goes back and forth. Like I'm looking at both these points between Leon and Coase, and it's like, there's a point where there's so much fighting that even the cameraman puts the camera down. The camera's just shaking because it's moving everywhere.
Yeah, he's like,
and he's like,
take a break.
Fuck this, man. I can't do this too much longer. But and you kind of do get a little bit of war fatigue. I mean, because there's a point where they just start shooting at anything. I mean, you don't even know who's shooting at what anymore. And I mean, it gets so blurry and a little bit muddy. But then there's a really badass scene in there. It's a standoff. I mean, these guys are pinned down, and they have, and they're overnumbered, they're outpowered. There's even a boss battle in it from a video game.
That's right.
And
there is.
but it is very suspenseful, very exciting, and so well done. I mean, and the only bad thing I would have to say about that is like what you said, Leon. You can't tell who's dying in there. You got CG people.
It's not till they get it really narrowed down to about 8 people when I could tell. Okay, now I know who I'm dealing with. But before there was one guy I was like, oh, I like that guy. I can't believe they killed him off so early. Then I'm turning around like, wait, he's back.
I know exactly what you're talking about. 'Cause I thought it was a guy. It was one guy who was on the truck who was working the and okay, I'm not spoiling, but then I thought he died, but then he came back, and I thought like okay, that was just a CG soldier. That was like nobody.
And I kept having that same problem in Black Hawk Down, where I was like, oh, they killed that dude. I was like, wait, how is he still? I could have swore he just.
Well, it's because they put like black shit all over their faces in Black Hawk Down, and you're like, okay, how can anyone tell the difference?
Or
the white people look like the black people.
Exactly.
And it was
they
filmed
all look like black.
And it was filmed.
I just had to take double roles. But what there is of a plot in this movie is Aaron Eckhart is staff sergeant who went on a hero's mission where all his men got killed except for him. So now he's with this new platoon. He's trying to get out of the Marines, but they like, oh, the city's getting attacked by aliens. You got to come back. And so he's with a new group of Marines who all don't trust him. He's the guy who lost all his men. That son of a bitch. My brother's part of his company.
Yeah.
I don't like him. I don't trust him. So it's him. He needs to sort of redeem himself with these guys or deal with his own demons. And it's almost like if the movie was better written, they would address the fact that he sort of has a death wish because he's doing some crazy, outrageous stuff that, they call John Wayne shit.
Yeah.
And yet somehow it gets ridiculous in that, like, these guys are patting him on the back. Man, you a hero out there. And turn around like
2 seconds
later, like, you still gonna take care of us, huh? You don't give a shit. We'd live or die.
It was
like, dude, come on.
And that's clunkier than the actual ships that are flying in the air.
Yes, it is.
As far as the plot goes, that was like my only real problem with it, because a lot of this dialogue, when they touch on that subject, it does get a little clunky with the dialogue, even to the point where it's like, really, guys, you guys are really all focused on this when this amazing thing is happening. You have fucking aliens
that one guy
on
like,
Earth.
yo, man, my brother died.
Well, there's
he even tells me like, hey, man, fucking aliens, man. Come on. Can we talk about this later?
Yeah.
Even outside of that, I expect him to say like, "What, dudes? Come on! I started with 4 black guys. I still got 3 of them. Give me credit for that."
I
The
know.
thing is, that whole storyline is so awkwardly crowbarred into the story. I mean, like, no one would take a break. No one would even think about that shit in the middle of this situation, right? And the reason is because there is no plot. This movie is plotless. It is a setting and some characters who are broadly defined and kind of generic running around that setting as an excuse to sell you on cool special effects. There's nothing wrong with that per se. I mean, it's a popcorn movie, pure and simple, but it is embarrassing how bad the moments, the non-plot they try to put in there.
And the thing
really
is, like, the dialogue is either just okay or it's really bad.
Yeah.
And I think, like, without a good actor like Aaron Eckhart, who's actually able to sell a lot of the really bad dialogue.
He's trying. God help him.
I mean,
he tries.
I think he's a great actor in that he can say those things and be convincing about it. Unfortunately, he's got the score working against him because that score is just so heroic and melodramatic at all the points. It's like, if you didn't think the scene was corny, listen to this.
I think the words you want to use are over heroic and over dramatic.
Yes.
I mean, because there's a point where Aaron Eckhart is giving a speech and he's crying as he's giving the speech, and you're thinking he's not crying because he feels his speech. He's crying because he has to say this shit.
It was a very Michael Bay soundtrack that you're getting along with that.
Yeah, you're looking at it right, like he's looking like, I
Yeah.
really don't want to do this.
I know, and it makes it cheesy. I mean,
Yeah, it does.
It introduces a cheese factor. I'm like, okay,
And it's
stop,
a terrible,
you know?
it's a terrible speech, and everything goes quiet. And it's almost like they want to bring attention to this terrible speech, but around it, it's the whole movie. I mean, it's every piece of dialogue that you hear in every war film. I mean, there's these exchanges like, "Give the letter to my wife. I'm not going to lose you, sir. That's suicide.
Yeah.
This is our Independence Day." Like,
Yeah, I know.
wait a minute, Roma.
I love that scene. It's like, "You're coming with me. No, get out of here. No, you're coming with me. No, get out of here." It's like, I can yell louder than you. No, you can't. I'm going to win this.
Yeah. I was only pissed off when they didn't use my favorite one, "Booyah!" after they blew something up. You know,
All right, I thought they did.
you know, they said "hoo-ha" a lot. They were screaming Al Pacino quotes. "Hoo-ha!"
Yeah, just have a Pacino off. All right, you win.
And there's one moment it's just like,
All right.
and the aliens in the background like, "I ain't fucking with this."
Yeah,
Let's go back.
I really thought I heard
Shouldn't have
somebody.
attacked LA.
I really thought I heard somebody scream, "Game over, man! Game over!"
So what happened with the aliens? How they were so devastating at first, and then later in the movie, they were shooting with the aim of agents for Cobra. Like, they just couldn't hit shit for nothing. These guys are running around in the open, and bullets are zinging all around them. They stop.
That's
they
always
play
what happens.
cards. It's like,
Same thing with Starship Troopers. Remember that? Like, first half of that movie, unstoppable. Nothing can take it. I mean, you have 100 troops. There's 2 of them, they'll wipe you out. Then all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, except that the plot goes, all right, it's time to start winning. Like, they can't hit shit. And the soldiers hit everything they aim at. And this movie does the same thing.
yeah,
Well, I can
but
tell you-
that was kind of a joke, though.
Yeah,
can tell
that
you
was, but here it's supposed to be serious and join the Marines. And,
Yeah.
Well, Leon, I can tell you why. Our bacteria, which would give us the common cold, slowed them down and was the cause of their loss. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is funny how these aliens, and I won't go into it, but they're sort of the opposite of the aliens from Signs. I'll just leave it at that.
What? Because they're smart.
Yeah, right.
Because they can open a door.
Yeah, I will give this movie credit for at least not dumbing down the situation at the very end of the movie, like every goddamn alien invasion movie tends to do. With something as ridiculous as water is their greatest enemy. I'm like, oh really?
Yeah, here it's an actual, genuine military victory.
Yeah,
and
or-
that feels
Yeah.
good.
I mean, you know, look, there's like some stupid shit in this, and I'm not gonna even. I mean, right at the beginning of the movie, it starts out dumb. I mean, I can't even blame this movie for that because there are a lot of movies where an alien invasion starts, and you always got that group of dumbasses that are at the front just watching as it happens, and it's looking like, hey, that's cool. But you know, but then I have to say, I really did get kind of wrapped up in the whole military aspect of this. I mean, it was a better idea than I think it was executed, but it was cool seeing just a war movie, an actual war movie, take the place over the science fiction that's in the film.
At 1446 Pacific Standard Time, 12 different locations across the globe were breached in what appears to have been a coordinated attack by an unknown enemy. This is a textbook military invasion. We are the last offensive force on the West Coast. We cannot lose Los Angeles.
You know, it's that story of the platoon that made a difference for the whole war. Okay. You know, the one that actually put the dent in the whole war, the ones that found the secret weapon, the ones that blew up Hitler. You know, I don't know, but it was, you know, this is the platoon that actually made a difference. They're the ones that saved Earth in the long run. And, you know, and I like that the patriotism in this movie. You know, it's been given to Michael Bay. There would have been a flag coming out of every scene. In fact, you think what's his name got mad at us before? Come on, ass. Watchman preacher. You know, everybody would have had a flag for a dick in this movie if Michael Bay had done this. But they don't do that.
They don't go there.
Well, because the aliens burned all the flags. I mean,
that's true.
Well, they all got burned. But you know, it comes in dialogue. You know, like.
Well, it's more like brotherhood, the brotherhood of soldiers, than it is patriotism, really, which is fine. Like I said, that's the aspect of the military booyah that they're selling you on. That feeling of like, these are your brothers. This is it. You'd be heroes. You're doing this to save people. It's not save America per se. You're doing this for all of humanity.
Right.
What you want them to do. Yeah.
And you know, in this case, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah, because I see so many movies that kind of shy away from that because I think they're going to turn their audiences off to it. Right. Sometimes where it's so plain to see, and I'm glad that this movie took the freedom to go, no, this is about a bunch of guys who are working together, that they are a family in their own right, and you know, they're there to do a job, and they all make it very clear, especially when they're all fucking freaking out with a situation like this. Yeah, that's understandable that, you know, they bring that camaraderie back to go, look, we're all a team. There's not that one guy in there trying to screw everybody over, you know?
Yeah, that's what they should have done. You know what, you made a good point because, you know, we already mentioned it at the beginning of the movie. They're showing all the names of the soldiers and all these people are types. I mean, you have the cocky lieutenant who knows everything, who thinks he's going to go in and be in charge, but then you have the grunt, who's Aaron Eckhart, who he's had more experience. He's the real hero. He knows more.
There's always the guy who he's smart because he learned, but there's the other guy. He's smart because he's actually done it.
Yeah, and
the experience versus intelligence.
Well, you got they always had that in the movie. The grunt who's like, look, I didn't go to school, but I know more than you do because I've been out in the field a lot more. And then you're right.
The sweet guy doing it for his family. Yeah, and you got the loose cannon.
Yeah, and on the ship you have the people.
You got the young kid.
Yeah. And you got the aircraft where. And that was the worst. Where you got, I mean, Jesus Christ, don't spread it on so thick. I mean, you got one guy writing a letter to his wife, so yeah, you know what's going to happen. Then you got another guy writing out his will and testament on there. I mean, like, come on, man. But then it's the brotherhood that makes a difference. That, you know, just the camaraderie that they all build. I mean, you don't need to know their names. You don't have to go into their backstory because when it starts, it doesn't even matter. It's like if they just jumped into it and. Because there's no plot, as you said. If we just followed these guys, we would have naturally got the feeling of camaraderie without trying to make these characters more than what they are.
And it's much more of a war film than it is a science fiction film. I mean, you could easily do this film and rewrite it without that many changes to where it was a World War II movie instead. You know, because, you know, with all these scenarios and encounters they do. So in that sense, I think I agree with you. I was really appreciating it on that level. I just wish the writing had been up to snuff because it really wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the good things about this movie is that, you know, it just has a constant momentum. I mean, even if it does bombard you a little bit with too much, I'd rather see that than have it slow down. Because right when I did think I was going to get too much, and they come out with something else cool, and I say they weren't showing the aliens before, but I think that that's smart. I mean, they used to do that all the time in the 80s. They didn't show you everything up front. The movie gradually built, and you had to earn. You know, your right to see the aliens.
I honestly still never really got a satisfying close-up shot of the aliens.
Really?
Right now, yeah. I'm
talking about when they had one on the floor and they were giving them pretty much CPR.
It was sort of in pieces, and they're digging into it to where I was like, I can't get an overall feel of what this thing looks like.
Even when they had the machines where they were walking with the machines.
Well, yeah, but that was them in their armor.
Okay, because I tell you this, at the beginning where they are pretty much just shadows. For a little while, I was concerned because I was just like, "Oh man, I hope they don't go this route throughout the whole movie." Because I'm also thinking about budget. I'm okay, I hope this movie has enough budget to really show the aliens. And when it gets down to one of the first main fight sequences, where I thought they actually did do a really good job of showing you what they are. I mean, even though they still look like junk. I mean, they look like a big fucking mess. But I did get a sense of, okay, I know who these opponents are, and I thought there was a lot of cool visual stuff where you see them, like, you know, during the battle sequences that it didn't bother me because I was really concerned about that.
And I'm with you on that because I don't think the point was to see exactly what they were. I think that they were these are creatures who are so different from us that even up close, you can't make out what they
Right.
are. I mean, even as they were tearing at one of their organs, they still like, I don't know what this is. Like, this is a Jello mold.
Yeah.
That's not it.
It looked like it looked like a radiator.
It was just saying like fingering this alien like, is that it?
It looked like a radiator.
hardest thing.
It looked like a radiator with a jellyfish stuck.
I know, right?
I know the alien was like, I'll move, I'll do it myself.
That's so hard.
That's my asshole.
This is my G spot. This is my heart. Okay.
When opening it was going to be wheezy in there.
No, but you know what? There were moments though where it does get so chaotic, and I see like this is going to be the new way they're going to be shooting these alien type movies from now on, especially because of District 9, where that movie really was a landmark in cinema, because now it's one of those movies after I saw District 9 where I'm like, everyone's going to take a page from this movie and try to redo it, which they kind of did it with. They obviously did it with this movie, but I think they respected it enough to where it wasn't just a complete knockoff rip.
No, it's not at all. Only in the sense of the effects,
Yeah.
and the way that those were shot. It was like, District 9 was this huge jump forward, like bar raised for those type of alien action films in that sense. You're like, God damn. Plus, it was just a great movie.
But
this is like great effects, not as good as.
But saying that though, I did find myself at the end of the movie missing like those really nice grand shots where you see everything in perspective. It's just not whizzing by you on the screen. I mean, there were moments where I was like, you know what? I kind of wish I had like a somewhat Independence Day type scene where you see the inside of the ship, you can make everything out, and you can see what the troops are actually doing, you know?
Yeah, I accept this movie for what it is. I don't think that they were trying to bring in too much character. I just don't like that they attempted to do it in the beginning. I mean, if you're not going to go there, then don't go there at all. But I do think it's a lot of fun. And the only thing that I if I feel bad for anything about this movie, and I don't, because I think it's going to do fine, but it's just so close after Skyline that a lot of people are going to probably hold that against it. And the people who worked on Skyline, there were the effects artists who worked on Skyline, worked on this movie.
Yeah.
They left this film and to work on Skyline.
You know, the funny thing
and they
is,
beat them to the punch.
I know I'll get criticized for it. I don't give a shit at this point. But there are plenty of times in there that the movie reminded me of Skyline. I mean, it's Los Angeles being
Well, I'm
destroyed
about to
by
say,
aliens.
aliens in Los
There's no way
Angeles.
to get around that.
Right.
But it probably reminded me of Skyline just as much as it did of District 9. And you know what? I mean, you guys are right. There's good things going on in the movie, and yet of all these good things, none of it felt like something I hadn't seen before. I was never surprised by it. I never had it. I mean, except for like the last couple battles where I was like, wow, that's got me on the edge of my seat.
Those are two surprises. That's good.
Okay, yeah, it was those two. But everything else, I was just kind of like, well, it's not bad, but I was expecting more.
Yeah, you were hoping for more, and it never makes you go, this is horrible or anything.
No.
But at the same time, you're just kind of going through the motions is what it feels like.
That's how it felt to me.
Well, what would
going
you
through
give
the
it
motions. You know what? Just a movie with this level of writing, I could never go above a matinee. It's really a low matinee to me. I mean, I do think you should see it in a theater because that's where you're going to get all the impact of it from. And on a small screen, the dialogue comes more to the forefront, and that's depth for it. So it's a popcorn movie, but yeah, it's just a low matinee for me.
Yeah, we're exactly on the same page. It's definitely a low matinee film. Yeah, you should see it in the theater if this is your kind of film, especially if you like the sort of like military thriller type stuff. You'll probably really enjoy this, but ultimately it is so flawed it can't get past a low matinee.
Go ahead.
Oh, me? Okay. You know what? I'm actually gonna go full price on it. Only because, despite the dialogue, there wasn't. It didn't linger around too much to where it distracted me. Even though I realized, this is kind of bad. A lot of this is cliche, but it's better than a lot of other films who've done it to where it's so cliche and so like in your face and really delivered terribly that you just kind of give it the old, get the fuck out of here. But no, other than that, the movie really excited me. It kind of did what it was supposed to do. To me, it was advertised as a Black Hawk Down with aliens, and that's exactly what it was, and I actually enjoyed it. For you say it had no real plot, I did like the fact that it was a search and rescue where they were trying to protect these civilians, and a lot of them were kids, and I thought they did a good job with that, to where they didn't have the civilians distract you with any other side storylines that really took away from the film. But other than that, I enjoyed the battle scenes. I thought it looked really fucking kick-ass, and full price for me.
All right. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot I liked about this movie. I mean, I like that I didn't get distracted by some of the stuff that they put in there, like Michelle Rodriguez. There's some other big names there, Michelle Rodriguez, and then you have Neo. I ain't talking about from
Keanu Reeves. When did he show up?
No, blues. I mean, R&B singing Neo. I was like, that brother
Neo.
Neo. But yeah, I was like, man, that brother looks like Neo, and it was, and because at first it looked like Urkel. I was like, there's this black nerd up in here. But then I thought I was gonna be distracted by somebody who couldn't act, who's another musician in there. But that's the benefit of a movie moving this fast. Listen, bottom line here is that as much as I want to give this movie more credit, to me, there's no excuse for lost potential.
Yeah.
Because the writing could have been so much better, which would have made this kick ass. I haven't seen a military alien invasion movie like this before. And I was watching this thinking, oh, that's great. This is badass. This is what I've been waiting on. This could have been a kick ass film had the dialogue been better and writing been better. But they decided to go, to pull back on that and just give us a bunch of special effects. That being said, though, again, I can't hold that against the movie, a lot, because I don't think it was trying to do anything more but, like Coho said, just give you a lot of action, and it delivered on that, and I had a lot of fun with it. So, I'm gonna give it, I won't say a real high matinee, but I give it a very positive matinee.
Okay, man, you go to some twists and turns. I'm like, where's this going to end up?
Man, I keep you guessing with that. And the thing is, it's just gonna come out to a matinee. So I gotta do something,
That's good.
You know what, Corey? Your review has more of a suspenseful plot than the film does.
Yeah, I can tell who's going to die in the movie. But with that review, I didn't know what was going to happen.
I take off my mask, I'm an alien.
I'm curious as to how long ago this movie was made, because the little girl, Joey King, who was in Ramona and Beezus, plays the little girl in this, and she looks significantly younger in this movie than she did in Ramona and Beezus.
I mean, who knows, man? I really can't say. I just know that long enough for somebody to come out and make another movie with aliens invading Los Angeles and beat them to the theater with it.
Yeah. So maybe it got delayed a little bit.
Yeah, it could have. I mean, I know they were talking about it last summer. So,
which, if you've seen Skyline, you understand why they beat him to it. Just because they just threw a bunch of shit in the sky and that's it. Yeah,
maybe
that's all you got.
Was. Like Skyline was just trying to beat them to the theater, and if they had taken their time, it would have been brilliant.
Well, they both had that great idea of being a micro examination of an alien attack in a city, except Skyline was so much cheaper to make because it was mainly just in an apartment.
Right.
Yeah,
and one
exactly.
location. These guys were going across war-torn, destroyed L.A. And you're just looking at it, you can see, I wish there was a $sign counter for some movie. Just ching, you just see the numbers flipping by real fast.
I tell you what, this movie definitely has Skyline beat, only because I'd rather see a bunch of soldiers trying to get the fuck out of the city with a bunch of civilians, other than a bunch of fucking assholes in an apartment complex wondering if they should fucking leave or if they should stay.
Trying to get out of the parking lot.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
well, I like that. Just make it it was kind of a bottle film. Just these these assholes that you like. They're just a bunch of LA douchebags trying to escape. Like, if somebody came to you with an idea like that, you're like, nobody's gonna make that movie. Well, somebody did.
And
it's available at Redbox, Leon. So you go see that movie again and again if you love it that much.
And it came in a line of action figures in the end credits. I always remember Skyline for that. The only movie that came with its own action figures.
Oh, like at the credits. Oh, now y'all decide to do something.
The best part of the movie, the fucking credits.
Yeah.
That was literally the best part.
Before people start yelling, I do like this movie because I know people are gonna be thinking just because you say one negative thing, oh, you fucking asshole. No, I like this movie. I think people should see this in the theater.
I can't believe y'all gave that piece of shit Rango a full price.
Come on, we all gave it a matinee. I mean,
you know what this movie needed? Jeff Goldblum is an eccentric scientist. No? Really?
You know what? You mentioned, it's funny because that you should go down that line of how many celebrities this movie needs, because there's a part in the movie where Aaron Eckhart tells him, go through L.A., shoot anything that's not human. I'm like, that's half of Hollywood. I'm like, if Charlie Sheen better hide. He's gone.
It is L.A. Is anyone really that upset about it being destroyed?
Charlie Sheen would have been fucking on top of a building destroying all those aliens. Who needs...
Winner!
He is the fucking Marines. He is an F-18. I mean, he can take them all down.
He would probably transform into an F-18.
Always winning.
When you invade a place for its resources, you wipe out the indigenous population. Right now, we are being colonized.
What the hell is that thing?
Oh my God.
Fall back!
How many of you?
5 of us, 3 kids.
We have civilians coming out!
Can't take them, we got no room!
Wait! Can't!